Before we get started, we'd like to give a huge thank you to our sponsors, Lawmatics and CallRail.
Conrad, what do you think of New Year's resolutions?
I think I've kept my New Year's resolution once. You know, it's a good time to be thinking about the future and being introspective and planning and excited. We're going to get into planning later on in this session, but I think it's a really good exercise to go through. I think it is really hard to actually pull it off through the whole year.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this in some of our planning stuff today. But, you know, I think about these resolutions and I'm like, you feel like the end of a year, it's like cyclical. It's like a time to do it. But, you know, I don't know. I think the opposite happens. We put so much pressure on these resolutions and then we miss whatever our resolution was, and then it all falls apart versus like developing a consistent habit.
So here's the trick to developing the consistent habit. Start your New Year's resolution now.
There you go. So what's your resolution?
I'll give you my resolution for last year because I didn't do it and I deliberately delayed it. I said I was going to work less starting in February. And because I did the exact opposite of starting now. I was like, we're going to start this New Year's resolution, 9% of the way into the year. And by the time February 1 rolled around, So it was a terrible resolution.
Oh, well, next year.
Today, we have a shorter episode for the holidays. We're going to do a quick lunch hour legal marketing year in review, going over our own performance. And then, as promised, we're going to talk about annual planning for law firms. It's not too late.
Welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, teaching you how to promote, market, and make fat stacks for your legal practice. Here on Legal Talk Network.
Welcome, one and all, to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. Conrad, we were going to skip the news segment today, but it looks like we just got some breaking news. Lawmatics raises $10 million in Series A funding, and I would be remiss not to mention my good friends, your good friend, Matt Spiegel at Lawmatics. I am a proud investor and advisor and good friend of Matt's, and really impressed by what he's building over there. I think if you haven't checked out Lawmatics, obviously, full disclosure, I have a dog in the fight, but attorney-client relationship management, it's a huge opportunity. Move your potential clients and existing clients from prospects to actual clients. Check it out. Short news day today.
Short news. So today, as promised, we're going to do a review of Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. We're going to talk about our favorite episodes, and then we're going to go into some of the data that determines whether or not our favorite episodes were actually the most popular episode. Gyi, what was your favorite episode that we did this year?
Gosh, this was hard. It's a toss-up for me. It's a very neck and neck. I don't know. I'm going to say a tie. I'm going to kick the can and say
You're going to
tie.
say it. No, you can't equivocate.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Pick one. You know what we do when we hire people? We make people, you can only pick one. So there can only be one here, Gyi. Go.
So mean. All right. Well, I'm going with Aaron Levine then. Hello, Divorce.
Well, okay. Can you pick the other one then?
Okay.
I love the Aaron Levine. Why did you like the Aaron Levine podcast so much? By the way, we'll put this in the show notes. If you have not listened to it and you need to feel optimistic about the future, listen to this podcast. Why did you like it so much?
Yeah, I know you loved it because it was optimistic and hopeful about the future. I'm not very optimistic or hopeful about the future, but...
Which is why I'm surprised you chose... I thought you were going to pick for your favorite episode, like, the day the world came to an end.
Well, it's probably, in some ways, it's like similar to the... Maybe it's not the optimism, but to watch Erin's journey from practicing lawyer to recognizing a gap in the marketplace, to build what she's built, to deal with a lot of the regulatory issues, and to hear that story and to be able to share that. When I think about even my own journey from practicing to pivoting to something else, it was just very inspiring. And it's also, I think, it does give a good kind of sense of where we were, where we are, and where we're going.
Yeah. And again, to me, it's in a hopeful way. It is
Yeah.
technology bringing. I think there's two parts different that I liked. One, it's technology bringing the law to more people. That is where we're going. That's where we've been trying. That's why I got interested in this industry, right? It's a good thing. I like that she's like such a solid CEO and lawyer, right? That is an unusual Venn diagram. No offense to our there we go, offending listeners early on, but honestly, she is a very sophisticated CEO who happens to be a lawyer. I like those examples because it's just inspiring. It's a good feel.
Yep. Well, I'll give you my honorable mention. My honorable mention was Professor Goldman's episode, and I think that one and the I guess we should also at least mention Carolyn's that whole conversation around the issues, because again, I think that this is really going to be some big stuff about how we as a society decide the role that the internet should be playing. You're talking about Section 230. You're talking about, and the highlight to me of that conversation was the reminder that he gave us, because we think back and we're like, oh, the old times were so much better. There weren't any fake reviews, but the truth is,
right.
There were no reviews. There was no information. It was complete opacity. You couldn't find out anything.
Yeah.
So
that
was
yeah,
refreshing.
that was a really. I remember that part in the segment where I was like, he has a really, really good perspective on this. Okay, Gyi, can you share with our listeners the most popular episodes as well as our argument about how to count the most popular episodes?
All right, so we're going to give you a couple different metrics here. There's the IAB 2.0 30-day download number, I guess, is what that is. So apparently this is the industry standard. Correct us if we're wrong about that. And then the question is like, do downloads really even matter? People subscribe to podcasts. That doesn't mean they're listening to any of them. Your phone's just downloading them because you subscribed, and so it's on auto download and it's just downloading, but you're never listening to these episodes. So we're going to give you the Apple plays. So that's actually people that actually played the episode, to our knowledge.
So I want to use thematically, like let's click a step up. It's really hard to decide on what the right metrics are. By the way, also for your law firm, really hard to decide on what the right metrics are, right? So as we were looking at doing this, it's a very real conundrum. Thinking about what we're looking at becomes really, really important. So the most popular episode, Gyi, according to both IAB and Apple downloads, was
the marketing crystal ball. And so for folks that are anticipating us doing our prognostication episode, stay tuned because we'll do it again, backed by popular demand.
And we know you guys listen to it. For whatever reason, that title resonates. So it'll be the marketing crystal ball returns, the
Part
return
two.
of the revenge of the marketing crystal ball. So that'll
good.
come out. But it was different for Apple playthroughs, right? What was that?
Yeah, Apple plays.
Apple plays, sorry.
That's all right. 7 juicy marketing tips a la Tech Show. And again, you're in luck because we're going to do another Tech Show episode as we lead up to Tech Show. Hopefully have some live interviews from the show. But you're telling, look, the people that listen to this show, they love marketing prognostications and they love juicy tips from the Tech Show, maybe.
There you go. Okay. On the ugly side, what sucked, Gyi?
The award industry episode did statistically significantly terribly.
Horrendous.
Really bad.
I like that. I got to talk about Zippy the Chicken. I thought that's easy. Maybe we should have called it the Zippy the Chicken Award.
We should have. That's what we should have done.
So that's actually brings up an interesting point. Like, I wonder how much titles impact, anecdotally, I think they impact what you choose to listen to, especially if you're downloading all these things.
I think so too, especially for the ones that aren't like regular listeners, right? Because that's their thing is like, how many of these are one-offs? The plays, they don't tell you if it's a subscriber or not subscriber, just play.
Yeah. Okay. And on that plays, we had bad reviews in the marketing vacuum. No one wants to talk about bad reviews. Apparently.
Yeah, which again, for me, I'm like, that's an important topic, and no one wants, but everybody's sick of it, right?
And no one cares.
No one knows what to do about. Yeah, no one knows what to do about it, and so people are frustrated. So I'm not listening to that episode.
Okay, there's no more reviews next year from us, but we will do lots of juicy tips. Maybe we could extend the juicy tips. Like every episode, we'll give one juicy tip.
We should have a juicy tips segment.
Oh, maybe I like that. That's a good idea.
Juicy tip segment,
but it's got to be in the title. It'll be like featuring guest blah, 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 and juicy tip number 7. Okay. I have a New Year's resolution for the podcast. Do you have one?
I do.
Go.
My resolution is to at least double our feedback. Thank you for those that email us ideas and volunteer to be guests and leave reviews and get on the hashtag. But, this is so much more fun when the audience participates. So that's my goal, my resolution.
I don't like the guest volunteers. It puts us in an awkward position of being like, no.
Yeah, sometimes we have to say no.
We've said no to a lot of people who want to come and schlock garbage.
Well, that's the thing, right? Don't come schlock your garbage.
Yeah.
Come be an awesome Aaron Levine or Eric Goldman guest, right? I think the other thing too, though, that's related to this, since you brought it up, like we looked at it, the guest episodes do pretty well.
Yeah.
People want guests. They're sick of hearing us. They want to hear a third person in the room.
Okay. Noted. They're sick of hearing us.
What do you got?
Next on this podcast, Gyi and Conrad do silence.
A moment of silence.
Very stoic. Okay. So my thing, and I've said this many, many times, maybe not on this podcast, but there is this overdone concept of content marketing, and I think it is backwards, and it should be marketing content, not content marketing. And I think what we do a really good job of, Gyi, especially with this podcast, is people who know us listen to us. It's the people who don't know us who are missing out, right? And
distribution is king.
Distribution over content. I like this. So we're going to put more of our own effort behind marketing this podcast.
Marketer versus marketer, part 2.
Part 2. All right. It's time to pay the bills.
Smart firms use CallRail to track where every lead comes from. PPC, LSA, organic search, or even offline ads. CallRail tells you which channels drive your best leads.
CallRail even integrates with your favorite CRM or practice management tools to help manage your leads and see the ROI on your marketing investments.
Know exactly which marketing tools work. Plans start at $45 a month.
We recommend CallRail to every single one of our clients. Go to callrail.com/lunchhour now and try it for free.
If you're like a lot of lawyers that we talk to, you're trying to grow your firm, but you're having trouble doing more in a day than just managing your systems.
So what you really need is a simple system that can easily identify where your profitable leads are coming from, analyze practice performance, and easily sync up matters.
Now, I've got to admit, I'm both an investor and advisor to Lawmatics. And the reason is I'm super excited what Matt's building over there.
So you don't have to change your entire system. Lawmatics easily integrates with MyCase, Clio, Smokeball, Rocket Matter, and lots of others.
So take a test drive today with Lawmatics to make client intake easier. Lawmatics.com. And we're back, just in time for the Legal Trends Report Minute, brought to you by Clio. All right, I really like this one. One of the most striking differences in technology adoption among growing firms, so they looked at growing firms, is their use of firm reporting tools. Shocker. The reporting tools analyzed for the report offer insights into key business metrics such as revenue generation, bill collection, and productivity. The takeaway from this data is that growing firms are more likely to increase their revenues because they have access to the information and insights that help them assess how their business is performing, which also allows them to focus more attention on planning for additional ongoing growth over the long term. We're going to talk about planning. I mean, again, it's striking to me when you go look at the report, but there are a lot of lawyers that they're flying in the dark. They got no gauges. Growing firms, doing better with access to data. Shocker.
This is so obvious. Here's the other thing, Gyi. I think it's hard to get that data right. There's so much freaking data in what we do.
Right. And what metrics matter, all the stuff that you were talking about before.
I'll use this example. To anyone sitting on this podcast right now, think about this. Do you know the percentage of time that you answer the phone when people call you? You don't, right? That data has been available for years, right? That's a really important number. You've got it. It's important. You're not looking at it. You don't even know where to find it. And by the way, your agencies don't know either, right? And so For me, I don't know if you're seeing this. Like, I'm seeing more and more sophistication and effort spent on getting that part right. And it's not that the phone answering part, but like the getting business metrics right. And when you do that as a law firm, you're not relying on people like me and Gyi who are sending you these amazing reports that have been formatted to look all beautiful and make us look like we're amazing because that's what we want you to think, right? It's the firms that are getting control of their own data and the business data. It's not like please stop talking to me about H1 tags or blah, blah, blah score. Like, no one wants to talk about that. You guys want to talk about consultations. Let's do that. All right. Sorry. I didn't mean to hijack this, but it's so important. And as we go into the discussion about annual planning, you can't go from here to there if you don't know where you are. That sounds very philosophical.
To learn more about these opportunities and much more for free, download Clio's Legal Trends Report at clio.com/trends. That's Clio spelled CLIO. Speaking of planning, it's not too late to think about planning. It's the holidays. And you're not working anyway. You're listening to this podcast. If you don't have...
Wait, this should be work. You're getting smarter. Come on.
Right. If you don't have... You can't have billing for it, hopefully.
Fair.
If you don't have specific plans around 2022, escape from Drunk Aunt Sally. Who wrote this?
I wrote
Escape from Drunk Aunt Sally.
By the way, I do
me
not
say
have an
this?
Aunt Sally, but...
All right. And ruminate on the business metrics that are important for your firm. What are those metrics? What do they look like? And is your marketing gas tank going to get you there? Conrad, to kick us off, talk about Aunt Sally.
There's no Aunt Sally.
Okay.
By the way, when Gyi and I were talking about this, the question was, is it too late for you guys to get into annual planning? And if you haven't done it by, Christmas Eve, is it too late? Are you just going to kind of move into next year with the idea of like, hey, we're going to grow. And what does that mean? I don't know. It's bigger than right now. That's not annual planning, by the way.
It's never too late.
It is not too late to have your New Year's resolution start in February. But in all seriousness, you've got some free time now. You've got some introspection time. You've got some thoughts of the future. And I want you as listeners to be thinking about the business metrics, not the stupid marketing metrics, but the business metrics. And Gyi, as you look at going beyond, we're going to grow the firm next year.
Right.
What are the metrics that matter to you? What are the metrics that you talk to your clients about?
I was even going to talk in some of the context of our own business, but we run on EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System Traction, and we have 2 days of annual planning. And I'm just going to give you some of the high points, and then I'll try to make it a little more relevant for law firms. So first, you go through a look back, right? You got to review your prior year, right? We can talk about which numbers you should be looking at. We look at revenue. We look at profitability. We look at retention. We look at utilization. I mean, we've talked about Baker's gauges. We look at all those gauges. And we don't know, there's no litigating about it. It's just reviewing the numbers. How did we do versus our prior year 1 year plan? We do some team health. I think this is a great opportunity. I think it still is underinvested in, especially in the whole remote work life thing.
Yeah, what do you mean by team health?
We do some trust. We do trust falls. No, we do
virtual trust falls. Please stand on your desk.
We do. There's a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, it's all around building more trust, getting to know your team members better. Sometimes it's it's as simple as being like one thing I should keep doing, one thing I should stop doing, stuff like that. But it's really about uncovering things. Like it's creating the space to be like, how can we build more trust as we move forward to the future? All right. Then we do an organizational checkup. That's very formulaic from an EOS standpoint. There's actually there's these questions. It talks about like processes documented and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a more operational review type of thing. We do a SWOT analysis. So talking about our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
That's very B school of you.
Well, this is just the traction playbook. And again, you've heard it in B school, you've heard it in many different forms, but it does, again, it's about creating space to for getting out of the weeds of the day-to-day, reflecting, seeing where there might be some issues, and then building your issues list, and then we stop all of the look back. No more looking back. We switch it to looking forward. We build our 1 year plan. We build a 3 year picture, and we build a 10-year target and we work through some issues lists. And but again, that all includes a forecast for the coming year and what are the things we need to do to actually meet the forecast. So I think loosely that's what I would do if I was a law firm. So again, it's like whether it's fees or number of clients or adding an associate, it's the same exercise really.
So what are the metrics on the forecast? I think that is surprisingly absent in many conversations I have with law firms.
Right.
Is a metric around the forecast.
And to me, it depends on the type of practice you've got.
Okay. So what could they be and where would you go with them? And how would you nuance those based on practice?
Yeah. So I think there's kind of like, I'm going to really oversimplify things. Lawyers are going to be like, I don't fit in any of these categories. But I'm going to segment the entire world of the SMB law firm into two big segments. One is like, are you going to be a volume practice or are you going to be a very limited expertise, call it boutique practice? And then two is what practice area or areas are you going to be in? So the most obvious one to me is this. You're a PI firm. We work with a lot of PI firms, personal injury plaintiffs firms. Are you going to be if you're going to be a boutique PI firm, you need to be thinking about really focusing on growing number of referred cases and referral sources, in my opinion. Because again, you don't need 1 million cases. You need to focus on those big cases that you're the deep expert on, and how do you get more people? They're going to come and bring those cases to you. On the other hand, if you're a volume PI firm, then you're going to be different. You're going to be like, let's come up with what's the share of voice for me to be the market leader in pay-per-click or search or display ads. And again, I'm yeah, right, everywhere. Market saturation, right? And then that's just PI. It's totally different if you're in a different world. Because I'd be anyway, business metric wise, if I'm a volume PI firm, I wouldn't even be just talking about those things. I'd really be focused on new open cases, new open files, because you're not going to probably see an ROI on you might not even see fees from those open files in that coming year. And so if you're taking a snapshot of the year, it's open case files, right? Because if you didn't, theoretically, you're only opening files on cases that you think have some value. And if you're growing the open case files, likely that means you're opening the cases that you want. Likely that means you're moving in the right direction. So
let me ask you a question on profit. It's a bit of a leading question. Should profit be one of your business metrics?
I think so. Again, I this kind of depends on where on the journey you are, because like if you're brand new, it's very unlikely you're going to be profitable in year one. Very unlikely. I mean, I'd love for it to be true, but you're probably going to lose money in year one. And so there's a sliding scale. If you're a more mature firm, of course, profit should be like one of your number one targets, number one priorities.
Well, so let me ask this question. So profit and marketing, right? I think they're frequently misaligned, right? I think most of the time people feel like the more you spend on marketing, the more profit you will generate. In the long term, that may be true. In the short term, it's absolutely not true.
It also might not be true in the long term either.
Yeah, that's another problem, right? But, your marketing is, as marketers, for me to say this, like you need to understand it's discretionary and you're borrowing out of your profit to pay for your marketing. And so to me, one of the things I look through is if you have aggressive growth goals, it's okay to have low to zero profit goals, right? Because you're reinvesting back in your business and in your marketing to achieve those growth goals. And growth does not necessarily mean profit. I've had arguments with lawyers around this, but I think it's an important trade-off to think through.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, I think it comes to where you're on the journey, because another kind of like, I don't know if it's an axiom or something, but
tenet.
Run your business like you're going to sell it. And so if you're running your business like you're going to sell it, you better have profit, because nobody's buying an unprofitable business.
Fair point.
But not everybody wants to sell either. So there you go.
One of the metrics, we started this with New Year's resolutions. I would challenge everyone here, the listeners who don't have this metric already. I would want to know where your consultations are coming from.
Right. Hopefully that's table stakes, right?
It's not though. Yeah. It's not. Right. And so I would want to be able to draw a pie graph of where your consultations are coming from from a marketing perspective. And it doesn't include like the internet and Google, because those are big places. To me, that would be a great New Year's resolution, which then can lead to metrics around things like number of cases, revenue, right, et cetera. And that helps you understand the channels that you can push. And once you know where your number of cases or consults are coming from, you can start to talk about things like cost per consult, not cost per lead, but cost per consult, right? And so I would challenge from a New Year's resolution perspective, try to get the infrastructure in place. Because by the way, we talked about Matt Spiegel earlier. There's lots of ways for you to use software to answer this question. Lots of ways. Lawmatics is one of them. Clio Grow, right? And you got to do data integration. It's not super straightforward all the time. HubSpot is, we're HubSpot fanboys, but like the software is out there now for the solo practitioner to answer this question with technology. And if you don't have the answer to that question, that is a miss.
There you go. All right, listeners, thank you so much for another year of listening to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. We really do mean it. We appreciate you listening. We love to hear the feedback. We love to hear reviews. We love emails. We love Twitter direct messages. Thank you so much. Please do feel free to engage with us. And if you just landed on this, you never heard anything about this before, subscribe to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing and follow the hashtag LHLM on Twitter. Happy holidays, everyone. And because we probably won't talk to you, Happy New Year. Be safe, be well, take care.
Thank you for listening to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. If you'd like more information about what you heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via Apple Podcasts and RSS. Follow Legal Talk Network on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And or download the free app from Legal Talk Network in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, or subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.
Workers' Comp Matters is a podcast dedicated to exploring the laws, the landmark cases, and the true stories that define our workers' compensation system. I'm Judd Pierce, and together with Alan Pierce, we host a different guest each month as we bring to life this diverse area of the law. Join us on Workers' Comp Matters on the Legal Talk Network.